Hi everyone, welcome to the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon podcast. Today we have a special guest with us. He is Siva Seenivasan. And for the new listeners to this podcast, it is called the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon podcast because my goal, as mentioned to the guest today, is to share stories from business leaders in Asia. And what a business leader we have with us today. So Siva, who is Siva Seenivasan, is the founder and MD of Sharmee Human Solutions, a consulting and training company here in Malaysia. So today I have both of his books. All right. So I'd like to thank Sharon Tan for sharing these books with me. And these are her personal books. And in fact, in this book, I can find a personal note from Siva as well. So he is the author of two books, right? So the first book is Reclaim Your Success. And in this book, he actually mentioned three wise men, and we'll get into that. And another book called Sarasi, which is actually in English, should be the word compatibility, but later we'll talk about that as well. So we have a book author here with us, and he is also the president of MAPS, which is Malaysian Association of Professional Speakers. And he's the first person I have on the podcast who has experience. He is the lieutenant of Royal Malaysian Navy for many years. And he, of course, I've seen his interviews. I have searched his interviews on YouTube. He has a wealth of experience to share with us. So Siva, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Bob, for having me. It's a pleasure indeed.
Thank you, Siva. So, all right, I like to start with this first question. So, the first question I always like to ask my guests is, what is your favorite kung fu movie?
That's interesting, right? Being an Asian, kung fu movies wherever you are is a must. And out of the many movies that I've watched, my favorite remains the one by Stephen Chow, Kung Fu Hustle. Where people living in a slum area kind of thing suddenly showing off their powers. Simple people unleashing their superpowers. That's really a crazy movie that I watched. Really excited about that movie.
That is a great choice. That is an amazing choice. That is one of my favorite movies as well. I was actually at the premiere 20 years ago to say that movie, but yeah, I was actually at the premiere. And when Stephen Chow came to Mid Valley to launch the movie, and it is an excellent movie. Like you said, it is in the slums. One of my favorite things about Stephen Chow movies is he knows how to show how to, number one, how to tell stories from poverty. So it's a slum. It's like people drinking from the public water, lining up to get water from the public tap. And what I really love about that movie is community, right? So you go around, it is actually really a slum. It's like a block. It's like a flat block, like a old Hong Kong sort of fantasy flat block. And you will see people in the community helping each other to fight the bad guy. So I really love that movie. Yeah, so that is a great movie. So anyway, so Siva, so since you're my first guest who has experience in the Royal Malaysian Navy, so like right now being a business owner yourself, you're founder of a training consulting company. What lessons can you get from your experience in the Navy?
I think one of the main lessons that you get from military is the self discipline. There are a number of things that I learned. When I joined the Navy, I was a graduate officer. I was the second intake of graduate officers in the Navy, so it was still something new. And the first batch didn't know what to do, so first batch and second batch were put together. However, the training officers were all non-graduates, so there was always this rift. Why should I train you when chances are you're going to be my bosses because you have degree and we don't. So there were always these rifts, and it was a big challenge initially. Being a graduate, suddenly being trained as a military guy, things that you have to go through the military training. For 6 months, you don't wear uniform, you wear shorts and t-shirt. You go through any kind of challenges that they give you. I don't know how to swim, going for swimming lessons. So it was actually super tough. But perseverance. At that time, I was just focused on my purpose. Why did I join the Navy? So the purpose was very clear. I decided that I'm joining the Navy to serve the nation. And you'll be surprised, the first thing I did was writing a will. I wrote a will when I joined the Navy because I told my parents I'm joining the military. I don't know whether I'll be coming back or not. And that kind of commitment I had when I joined the Navy, although Malaysia was never in a war. But for me, when you're doing something, do it wholeheartedly. There's no turning back. So that was something that was strong in the Navy. The discipline was strong. And that helped me a lot. When I left the Navy to join the corporate world, people were struggling with that kind of spirit. Whatever I do, it's like, there's no turning back. Let's do it. When they give me a target, how to beat the target as fast as possible. And that allowed me to move up in my career quite fast. I had a dream of being the HR director of Malaysia's largest conglomerate when I'm 50 years old. That was my dream, my goal. At that time, retirement age was 55. So at 50, if I'm HR director, then I'm successful. But because of that discipline of the Navy, the perseverance, the commitment that they teach you in the military, I became a HR director for Hong Leong Group by the time I was 36. So by the time I was 40, I left employment. So Navy teaches you discipline. You would listen, you would remember a story told by one of the generals. The first thing that you want to do is learn to make up your bed when you get up. I learned that when I joined the Navy. First thing that you do is make up your bed. And I can tell you, even today, when I get up, the first thing I do is make up my bed. You accomplish the first thing in the morning. When you are done with the first task, there's no other task that you can't do. So a simple discipline like making up your bed when you get up allows you to have that discipline to achieve anything that you want throughout the day. And that allows you to achieve any success that you want to. Very good learning there.
Thanks, Siva. Yeah, while doing research for today's interview, one of the interviews I saw you did was on the EQ strategies many years ago. And please do listen for our listeners. Please check out that interview as well. That's where Siva shared his story of actually going for the interview in Alostar, being the first graduate in his community and things like that. So yeah, amazing. So discipline is very important as well, and I think that starts off this interview very well. So you start in the Navy and then you move on to your career. You were HR director. So that brings me to the book, which is this one, the Reclaim Success, right? So my first question to you is, because this book is actually very powerful, and in the book cover itself, it says these three wise men here. If you're listening, it's three wise men, and the book is Reclaim Success. So I think from your experience in the Navy, one of the wise men was an admiral in the Navy. And can you tell us more about these three wise men?
Okay. The book actually started because of a session that I was invited to. I was asked what made me be the person that I am today, and it got me thinking a lot. And I would say the first lesson that I learned, the first person that I learned from, was from this gentleman in the Royal Malaysian Navy, Tan Sri Abu Bakar Jamal. Now, Tan Sri Abu Bakar Jamal, we call him ABJ, Abu Bakar Jamal, or sometimes we call him Ash Abu. ABJ, as he likes to be called, he is one person who is known for his brilliance. He speaks impeccable English, brain really, really good. But because of his openness and because of his principle, he was not really liked by some of the decision makers. So this is a guy, when he was a one-star general, he was blacklisted for not following orders that were not really right at that moment. For him, I'm willing to do anything. You want me to be fired? I'm okay, but we must do the right thing. So Tan Sri Bakar was very firm on that. And he was blacklisted as a one-star general. But this blacklisted one-star general progressed to be a two-star general. And again, when he was a two-star and he was supposed to be the chief of Navy, again, he was blacklisted because the minister didn't like him. And he was instructed to be sent to India so that he is not in Malaysia for the promotion. And Navy was without a chief of Navy for a few months because of the reluctance of the minister then to sign his promotion. And what happened was, at the last minute, the Rulers' Council, headed by the Sultan of Johor and Sultan of Perak, actually convened and promoted him to be the chief of Navy. And he was promoted without a rank. They didn't even order his rank, the opponent, he had to stitch it. I was at his home when he was stitching it. I was teaching his son then. I went to his house and he was stitching it. He stitched his own 3-star general. So he became the chief of Navy. And there was one instance when we were together, me, him, and the Prime Minister, we were doing things. And I think the Prime Minister also saw the capability that he has. And for that, he became the first 4-star Navy chief ever. So he's the first full admiral of the Royal Malaysian Navy. So this is the first wise man. So much that I learned from him. And I noticed his character is exactly the same as the second wise man. So I'll tell you about the second wise man later.
Yeah. So let me introduce the second wise man as well. So the second wise man that I think you're alluding to is also you brushed shoulders with him while you were in the Navy. Am I right? And
Exactly.
he is none other than our 4th and 7th Prime Minister, Tun Dr. Mahathir. Right?
Exactly. Yes. So when I was in the Navy, things were a bit slow. Things were done quite cool, and I was an impatient guy. I joined the Navy to fight the war, right? So I always want to fight. So for that reason, the tasks that were given to me, I always complete it quite early. And when I complete the task, then I have nothing to do. So I volunteered for a lot of things. So one of the things that I was appointed to by Tan Sri Baka was the Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition. So I was part of the committee heading that. And for that reason, I dealt with Tun Mahathir, that time still Dato Sri. So we had a lot of interesting encounters during the few years that I was with him, managing Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition. The character is the same. Everything is possible. It's just how to do it. So the discipline is there. If you're clear on why you want to do things, then you just have to believe that you can do it, and you just do. So while Tan Sri Baka believes that he's the best chief of Navy for the Royal Malaysian Navy, you don't want him, I'm fine, no problem. I can do something else, but I'm the best. Tun Mahathir looked at it the same way. I'm the best prime minister of the best country in the world. So he had that feeling, the small country, Malaysia, and him as the prime minister, he's the best. So he always wants to challenge people. But a lot of things that he does, people won't understand. Same thing with Tan Sri Baka, people won't understand. And I had the joy of working with both. I remember there was one incident. Tan Sri Baka smokes, I smoked that time. So both of us were smoking in the operations room. And suddenly, Tun Mahathir came in. And both of us were hiding the cigarette behind. It was an air-conditioned room. We were hiding the cigarette behind. Tun, of course, called us and said, hey, what's that smell? Oh, nothing. So, Dato Sri, what can we do? So he was asking about the activities, the program for the next day. We explained everything. He was acting casual. Before he left, he just told us, don't smoke too much. So a lot of things that we saw that when you are a leader of a certain type, when you're so proud of where you of your role, and you're so committed and firm on what you want to achieve, you must be very clear with your purpose. And if your purpose is clear, then you just make a decision and move on. And working with Tun, I remember there was once that we had a storm and we couldn't do the opening ceremony. So we told Tun, don't come to the ship, because the opening ceremony is at the ship. The storm was too strong and it is too dangerous for you to come. What he told us is, my guests are waiting, so I will be there. And because he came, Tun Siti Elsma also came. Both of them were drenched wet. I, being one of the organizers, I waited for them, so I was drenched wet as well. So all of us drenched wet. And with that wet clothes, we still hosted all our guests from the different navies of the world. We had a tea break. So all wet, didn't change clothes, continue entertaining, left. That night he came to see us. That was the time I told him, I actually went to see him. I told him, my people have trained so much to do the opening ceremony. Because of the storm, we couldn't do it. So can I request your permission to have it tomorrow? I said, yeah, sure, why not? Just like that, why not? Then I said, I need your name. Can I borrow your name? He just laughed. He said, for what? I said, I'm asking for air clearance from the director of civil aviation. He said can't because Langkawi is an international airspace. But if we can't release the airspace, I can't have a helicopter bypass. So can I seek your permission? He looked at me and said, okay, I remember that night. I was calling all the ministers. I was calling the director general. Dato, from PM, release the airspace at this time. My chief of navy was looking at me. You know, young Chico, you just joined the navy, but you're so bold. And you know, working with leaders like this, you learn that they take accountability. When things go wrong for them, it is our decision. It is not my decision, not his decision. It's our decision. So they take ownership. And when I do things, I know that I can do it confidently with people, the leaders supporting me from back. And we had a very successful opening ceremony the next day. So being a leader, it's about being very clear of your vision, first thing. Second thing, making critical decisions at the right time. And, you know, believing that you can do it. And when you take action, make sure it's our action, accountability is there, and you do it together. If you can do that, the people have trust in you and they can go with you wherever you want them to go. And for that reason, I see, of course, that was a different prime minister. Today, it's a different prime minister. But that was the thing that you see people supporting him blindly, right? Both leaders, I see the same thing. Both of them read, super readers, read a lot. Both of them make decisions just like that. There's no time to analyze. Both of them English impeccable. And both of them are called dictators.
Yes, I 100% agree. The stories that you shared, yes, they are great stories. Actually, you can find the book.
Yeah.
The story about the launch, about the one that he caught you smoking, all is
Yes,
in the
yes.
book. so yeah, great story. What I take from that is these two leaders do not make decisions based on popularity. Even today, they are very polarizing leaders. You either love them or you hate them. There's
Exactly.
no in between. And they make decisions not to gain favor from people, but it was the right decision at the time, not to play. And these are very commendable attributes as well. And also, if you like, we can touch about your third wise man, which you encountered in your employment.
Yeah, the third wise man. This is a meeting by chance. You know, I was working in an IT company. The company was going down. There was no money to pay salary. Things were in a bad situation. And at that time, we had an office in Hong Kong, and we couldn't pay rent for 2 days. So the landowners in Hong Kong actually sealed the office off. They sold off all our things, and we had to go and rescue it. So I was sitting with my CEO discussing about it. How do we rescue this business? And what happened was the CEO was telling me, hey, Siva, I don't think there's anyone else who should go for this. Why don't you go? I said, no, I'm HR, not business. It's an IT company here. And it's Hong Kong. They speak Cantonese. I don't know Cantonese. And I've never been to Hong Kong. What do you expect me to do? I said, I think you should go. And I looked at him. I said, yeah, it's a good challenge. The military part came out, the military part. Oh, it's a good war. Go and do it. So he said, urgent, huh? So you must go immediately. Yeah? So straight away, the next day, flew off to Hong Kong. He never gave me money, nothing. I used my credit card and my ATM card to bring money to Hong Kong. And I was there. I set up a company in Hong Kong, used the business center to operate everything using my credit card alone, bought printers and whatever not. And within 3 months, we didn't only recover, we were doing great profit. And when I came back, I was promoted to be the vice president of the company. And the news came out because it was a publicly listed company. The company that was loss making for 8 years suddenly became profitable. When the news came out, I received an invitation to meet up with the founder of Hong Leong Group Malaysia, Tan Sri Kwek Leng Chan. So I told my boss, hey, I get this invitation to meet up with Tan Sri Kwek. How? Because that time became very close with my boss. So he was telling me, chances like this you shouldn't miss. Go and meet up with him. But don't take the job first. Huh? So okay, so I went to see Tan Sri Kwek. Met up with him. The meeting was only like 5-10 minutes, very fast. Within short while, he offered me a job. I said no. I want to be with my company. Then he counter offered again. Give me a price that you won't refuse. So I gave him a number. He paid me higher than that. Came back, oh, good offer. So I took it. But when I started working with Tan Sri Kwek, I realized the character is about the same. The three of them about the same. All masters of English. All three are heavy readers. They read a lot. They are sincere listeners. They listen to people. So before they do things, actually they're listening. If you look at Tan Sri Kwek, every meeting he's listening to what you say. Always listening. He will ask you silly questions. Why do Indians buy gold? Why do Malays fast? He will ask simple questions, but from there, he will find the business reason behind it. And you will see this similar with Tun Mahathir. When COVID started, he asked the Ministry of Health people to come and brief him on what is COVID. And you will see the same with Tan Sri Abu Bakar. When he doesn't understand, he asks people to brief, and he will keep quiet and just listen. So all three are great listeners, and they absorb the information and they make immediate decision. All three, like you said, of course, they made crazy errors. Even Tan Sri Kwek at one point of time during the 2018 crisis, lost a lot of money for Hong Leong, but Hong Leong is super rich, so nobody saw the loss, but lost money. Mahathir made his error. Tan Sri Abu Bakar made their error. So all of them make decision knowing that there will be errors. Important thing is 80-20 rule. 80% of your decisions must be right. So practice making decisions until at least 80% of your decision is right. Making no decision, of course, you're 100% never wrong, but you are not right as well. So all three actually had crazy lessons, and from them I learned one thing: all of them have failed in their life. Tan Sri Bakar was blacklisted as a one-star general. He was blacklisted from being the chief of navy. Tun Mahathir lost during his studies. He had to stop his studies and sell goreng pisang because of the World War II. And he was sacked from UMNO. Even when he lost, they lost and then they came back. Tan Sri Kwek nearly had the Hong Leong group crash during the 98 crisis. And he also had a health crisis. So all three of them actually went down and they came up stronger, reclaimed their right to success. And that reminded me of what my father told me when we had a situation at home. At that time, our family finances were very, very bad. Father was borrowing from chetties then. And at one point of time, this chetty got a court order to come and confiscate things from my house. But we had nothing in the house. So when they tried to confiscate, we had nothing. No TV, no refrigerator, nothing. But, for me, my father was always my hero. And, on that day when I saw my father there, looking at the chetty, looking at the court people, I know how down he felt. But there was something that he told me. Success is our birthright. Success is something that we are born with. When we are born already successful. People talk about the sperm journey, of course. I always talk about us walking. We try to walk, we fall, hurt our bum bum, we get up, we try to walk, we fall, we hurt our bum bum. What we always we get up. We always reclaim our success. And throughout our journey, the same thing happens. We are always successful. We are successfully doing things, until the current age. Some of us, while in employment, maybe we hear too many things, you're useless, we start believing that we are not successful. Some of us, business, we try, down, and we start believing that we are not successful. But the truth is, success is our birthright. That means success is ours, guaranteed. It is ours. It is actually our right to reclaim it, and it is our duty to reclaim it. And all three wise men taught me the same thing. Success is our birthright, reclaim it. And that's the reason I wrote the book, Reclaim Your Right to Success. If you look in the middle, your right to success. Yeah.
Yes,
reclaim your right to success. And
yes.
Yeah, and listening to them, I learned 4 key lessons on how you can reclaim your right to success. The first thing is always have a very clear purpose. Why are you doing things? If you are starting a business, what is your true purpose of starting a business? Don't use things like, oh, because my father was a businessman. Oh, because I had a dream of it. There is a reason you are starting a business. So search your soul. Why are you doing your business? Like in my case, I found my purpose to be happiness, creating moments with my family. So I want to be with my kids. That's my main purpose. So whatever I do, I always retrace my purpose. My purpose is being with my family, creating moments with my family, being happy with my family. So create your purpose, relook at your purpose. Your purpose must be very clear. And once your purpose is clear, make a decision. How do you want to do it? Whether you are in business or in employment, you can always be successful. We can't say that only businessmen are successful. So many employment opportunities can make you multi-millionaires. You can still achieve success through that. There are, I think, Heidi Lau. We know the story of Heidi Lau, where one of the waitress is now the vice president of the company, earning millions, right? So employment, still employee, but she owns the company now, right? She's a co-owner. So make a decision. What do you want to do to achieve your purpose? It can be pursuing environmental cause. It can be pursuing spiritual cause. It can be pursuing your business. It can be pursuing your employment. Doesn't matter, but make a decision. 80% of the time, ngam, just move for it. You don't have to wait for the decision to be 100% correct, but you have to make your decision now. So second strategy is always making that critical decision. A decision that is unmade, nothing happens. So that is the second lesson that I learned. The third one is, once you make decision, don't shift in terms of your belief. Your belief must be strong. So always firm up your belief. If your belief is strong, then the way you take action will be more firm. When you take action firmly, your results will show. When your results show, your belief will be enhanced. When you're doing things and your belief is half-half, I joined Hong Leong. I want to be HR director, but Hong Leong is a Chinese company, and all the bosses are all 50 plus, I only 30 over, how to be HR director, but I want to be, when you're half-hearted, the way you do work also half-hearted. When you don't give excuse, you just say, I don't care about my age. If I can deal and deliver better than the leaders, they have to appoint me, no choice, right? So you just have to have your self-belief and just pursue. So the third strategy, belief must be strong. And once you have your belief, take massive action. I want to be HR director, I can be HR director, but do nothing also sangkut lah. So take massive action. What needs to be done? So learn, find mentors, people like you who have spoken to so many entrepreneurs, right? So definitely there are things that I can learn from you. From there, what should I do to be better? And using that, taking action. So these are the 4 strategies that I learned from these 3 wise men. I call it the professional DBA. P for purpose, D for decision, B for belief, A for action. PDBA, professional DBA. So get your professional DBA, which is within you. You have to find it outside. It's within you. Your purpose is within you. Your decision within you. Your belief within you, and your action is also within you. Lessons from the 3 wise men.
Thank you, Siva. That is a great sharing. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom. So it's called Reclaim Your Right to Success. It is a great book. I highly recommend it. And it's aptly named. It's Reclaim. And all the 3 wise men that you mentioned, they reclaim their success. It's not instant success. It's not. It has all these individuals reclaim their success, right? So as you have aptly named, it is so many goals in there, like things I learned, like people have a paralysis of making decisions, but make more right decisions, right? Take action. There is so many goals and wisdom in there. So thank you for sharing. So I hope they go out and get the book. So the book is in Borders. Am I right?
No, Reclaim is in Shopee.
Shopee. Yes,
yeah,
Shopee. Yeah. So do get the book to learn more on all the stories. The Siva just shared a few of those stories, but there are many more gold nuggets in there. So yeah, thank you for sharing. So next one, I would like to move. So thank you for sharing so much. And next one, I want to move on to your more recent book. All right. So I believe this one was written with you wrote this book with Nikki Teo, right? Nikki Teo, fun fact, Nikki Teo is actually my university mate. This book in Malay is called Serasi, and in English it should be Compatibility, right? And in this book, as I was diving into this book, it talks a lot about the DISC profiles of people. But tell us, like, how A lot of my audience here are business people and professionals from LinkedIn. So that's where I mainly distribute this podcast. So tell us, why is it important to find that compatibility in your team or business?
Yeah. You see, I'm not sure whether people are aware of this. Conflicts in companies actually make companies lose billions of dollars every year. Conflicts. There was one incident when I was in Hong Leong. We had a very good CFO. We brought him back from Malaysian. We brought him back from UK, and this guy is brilliant. The only thing is there's no chemistry between him and the boss. So although you're good, when the chemistry is not there, you can't work. So we had to let go of people. So I'm sure for business leaders, same thing. They will see people that they bring in, but somehow not ngam lah. The chemistry doesn't work. So what is this chemistry that we are talking about? People have to appreciate that human beings are just different. We are programmed differently. That there are people who are so focused in driving results. There are some who are so focused in being a people person. They are exciting and enterprising and inspiring. There are some people who are so quiet, but they do most of the work, like your programmers, your some of your researchers, quiet, but they do the work. And there are some who always tell you the law say cannot, the policy cannot, this one say cannot, that one say cannot. They control you in terms of the rules and regulations. So people are just different, and we are a combination of different behaviors. So as I start to explore this more, then I came across DISC in the year 2000, 2001. DISC is a behavior model that was introduced by a professor by the name of William Marston. William Marston looked at human behavior in a discussion, right? And he said, actually, the way people respond in discussions, there are 4 ways, If a few of us are in a discussion and you touch a topic, say, what shall we have for dinner? 4 types of responses. One says, okay, let's go to this dim sum shop in Puchong and have our dinner there. The domineering, the one that will forcefully make decision and done. A second person will use a different approach, influencing. Bob, what do you think of that dim sum shop in Puchong? I heard very nice. What do you think? Shall we go there? They try to influence you to go to the dim sum shop. The third behavior, wherever you choose, I follow you. So whatever you do, I will follow you. So that's the third type. The fourth type, dim sum also okay lah. What about banana leaf? Banana leaf also okay lah. Which one is good? Depends lah. So it's always non-committal, pro and con. So very conscientious. So he noticed that whatever discussion, you'll find these 4 types of behavior. And people use this behavior based on the different environments. Some look at the environment as always being hostile, always want to fight, always a bit threatening. Some look at the environment as always being friendly. So he used this modeling and came out with DISC. And the joy is this. When we are with our team of people, if we can appreciate what type of behavior that they prefer, we have all 4 inside us, right? What type of behavior that they would prefer to embrace, then it's easier for us to work with them. To make it simple, DISC is like, very, very atas kind of word, right? So roughly, a D person is like a tiger character. So this is a tiger. Tiger always hunt alone one. Tiger won't waste his energy. When you see a herd of deers running by, the tiger will focus on one and can't be bothered about the rest. Just focus on one and attack, and then bite. The tiger kind of energy. The I is actually the horse kind of energy. Always, always happy there, make everyone happy, running here, running there, doing a lot of things, always in a group, always being the party of the group. So you have the horse. Then you have the S. The S is the elephant, slow and steady, always taking care of each other, but always in a small group. Don't simply mix with other animals, but always caring, very knowledgeable, can remember everything. So the elephant. And you have the last one, I call it the mouse deer, sang kancil. Remember sang kancil? So this is the brilliant one, always thinking, because it always sees others as always attacking. So always trying to protect. So always thinking, how to escape this, how to escape that, how to escape this. So they use policy procedure. So we have all four animals within us. What we do is some of the animals, we use more than others. So some people are tiger all the time.
Yeah, I was
Always
saying,
attack.
yeah. So like the D is dominant, am I right? D is
Dominant.
dominant.
Yeah.
I is influential, am I right?
Yes.
S is support, and then C is
Steady.
conscientious. Sorry, stay, and then
S is steady.
Steady, and C is conscientiousness.
Correct. Or
Yes.
compliance.
Compliance. Yeah, so I have done the profiling many times, even when I was younger, and my results, it differs sometimes, but most of the time, it is DISC, exactly.
All
Exactly.
four.
This DISC, right, this sequence, DI dominant, and then SC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but in this sequence. So like the example where you mentioned the go out to eat. Okay, so that is where I come in. Very strong. I already know where I want to eat. So what I do as a DI strong person, what I do, very good example just now. I will go and ask, for example, Sharon. I will say, hey Sharon, you like to eat dim sum, right? So I'll say, you like to eat dim sum, right? So yes, I crave for dim sum. So I will use that as a DI person. I will use that. Then I'll go around telling people, Sharon wants to eat dim sum. Let's go for dim sum. Sharon wants to. So I'm a good mix of both. I'm not only D. Hey, let's go dim sum. No discussion. No, I'm not. I will still open, but I will use the social proof of someone. Hey, let's go dim sum. That is what Sharon wants to eat.
That's brilliant, right? The opportunity is this. If we know our team members, what are their different preferences, right? Then it will be easier for us to have a very harmonious relationship with them. Like DI, okay, you want to go eat, then you use this approach, works, right? Then you go and ask the C person who's always thinking, why they want to ask me to go out and lunch with them? Are they going to tell me something? So they're always thinking. So chances are they don't even want to join you. So then you start wondering, why are this person so axy and this new generation don't want to go out with us? It's not that they don't want to go out. It's just their behavior preference. So if we can appreciate that people are made up of different preferences, they have nothing against you. It is just that their preference is different. Some like elephants, they always want to kawan with the elephants only. They go makan also elephant only. They go play also elephant only. It's not like they hate the horses. They don't. But their preference is to be like that. So some of your colleagues, every time makan with the same people, if possible, same shop, if possible, same menu, some more. And there's nothing wrong. If the leaders can appreciate that people are different, and then using that, wow, Bob is DI. That means can drive for results and can mix with people. So I should give him challenges because D person loves challenges that interacts with people. So go out and meet people. So if I make you sit in the office, you're going to be bored. If he can't appreciate that, then he's going to lose you. That's the benefit of appreciating DISC. So Serasi, it's about finding that harmony. Satu, Rasi is the harmonious part. So how to be harmonious in your relationship, whether it is with your family, whether with your clients, whether your customers, your bosses, your teammates. If you can find harmony, then you know with DI, with Bob, I do more like this. When I talk to him also, I must be like that. When I talk to Sharon, I must be more like that. Sharon, very careful, very analytical, right? So make sure you give facts and figures before you talk to her. Eric will be different, Daniel will be different. If we can appreciate that, ultimately we want to achieve our goals. So we can achieve our goals in a more harmonious way. When the goal is achieved in a more harmonious way, it will be more sustainable. Compared to trying shrewd ways of getting results, you get your results but won't last.
Awesome. That's awesome, Siva. That gives me so many reflections. While reading a book, I realized a lot of my best friends throughout the years are C people. They are
Okay.
the S or C, either S or C, S, especially because they are opposites. I am always the one who will plan the trip, or will say, I want to go here, I want to go there, I want to eat this one, eat that. And then they just follow, and I'll give them reason why they need to follow. But if you ask them, they will say, I eat anything, I don't want to go anywhere. But I will plan, and then they will support. So that is one. And I realized what you said about, if you are managing me, you give me challenges. That is exactly one of my bosses who I worked with 3 years. He exactly know how to do it. He will say something to me like, Bob, why our competitors can do, we cannot do? That
Ah,
triggered me. I cannot sleep. That is the best way to tell me about something. That is the best way to tell me. It's not like, oh, you have to follow this, I might not follow. But you say, why our competitors can do, I cannot do. That is a challenge. I'm like, oh no, I cannot sleep. I have to figure it out.
exactly. That's the best question for a D person, a dominant person. Cannot.
Yeah,
I
no,
person also cannot lose face. So how can I lose to my competitors? So
uh,
you
yeah.
must test me.
Yeah, you're right. So for a company, you cannot have everyone DI. The company is different. When I, let's say I sign a new agreement or I hire a new staff, I need the S and C people to come in and read the terms, because I can read, but when I read, I miss out words. I'm a DI person. so the S and C
Exactly.
people will go through each term, each line. They'll think carefully before they come to a conclusion. So I need them in my team. I don't have
Exactly.
all DI people. I cannot have I people. Very influential, but then in the end, no action. so
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
the DI. I will bring the influential people back to the goal. I say, okay, this is the goal. Come back, come back. So it's great learnings. So yeah. So please get this book. I believe it's at Borders, right?
Brilliant,
So yeah.
Yes, it is at Borders. Also on Shopee, both there. If you look at it, it's like this, Bob. We need the D people to push for results. So they are the ones who say, let's bid, let's bid, let's bid. So that is the D people, always going for new challenges. The I people will say, let's do it. We can do it. They inspire the team. But the one who will actually do it are the S people. Because D will start the challenge, but D won't have the patience to take it on the long run. So he needs the S people to come and do it. So S people will actually do it. And the C people will come and put structures in place, policies and procedures in place to make sure that it is done the right way. So we need all four for different reasons. So if your company is too many C, so too many thinkers, no doers, sangkot. If your company is too many S, all doing but doing status quo, you won't change. If your company is too many I, like you said, a lot of discussion, a lot of excitement. Let's go. I think we are tired. Let's go and makan first. So makan, talk, but no action. And if all your team are D, every day fighting, doing new things, let's go and fight, get new contracts, non-stop getting contracts, but nobody deliver the contract. So that balance, that harmony is why you need everyone. Everyone is beautiful in their own way. It's what we should use them for. Don't take the S people and say, go and find new contracts. They are not that person. They build relationships. So if we can appreciate that, then of course the company will be running like a beautifully oiled machine.
Yes, amazing, Siva. Like, yeah, so many reflections when you talk about it, because, like you said, the C, they need structure. As a D person, I I will just like, oh, let's do this and do without structure one. Let's do 1, 2, connect 2 dots, and then we just do. And when I work with a C, C is actually the type that I struggle the most to relate with, because what do you need? They need structure. They need a roadmap or something. So
Written instruction. They go back to your office and send you. They go back to their office and send you an email. This is to confirm our discussion this morning. You wanted me to do A, B, C, D. Please confirm.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm a very typical D person. Like, when we arrange this interview, I put it into the calendar, and that's it. A C person will follow up all this like, yeah. So I struggle, and not struggle, but as I reflect back on my working experience and my business experience, I was like, oh yeah, these are the different things I should have done and things like that. So amazing. So do get this book, Sarasi. Are you having an English version coming out, or is this the one for now?
Oh, there's an English version coming out soon. So it is in the process of writing already. So I'm doing a bit more research for this one, because this is actually target for the global market. So putting a bit more research work to add even more value than what we have in Strasi. Strasi has a lot of Malaysian context and Malaysian experience. Some of my students who have used DISC in managing conflicts in their company, managing performance in a company, they have shared. So the last chapter actually is a sharing by my students. So for the new book, the English version, then I'm doing a bit more academic research to strengthen my findings for the book.
Awesome. Yes. One thing I love about this book is the stories inside there. Like, I like one of your stories, which is you said something in the meeting. You said, but this. Uh, so like one of my favorite books, because you're a very learned person and you read a lot of books. So this is not a question I ask most of my guests, but I'll ask you. Like, my favorite book is Nonviolent Communication by Michael Rosenberg. And in the book, he said, don't show your butt. That means don't start any sentence with the word but. There's so many implications in there. Like, number one is condescending, number two is so many things in there. And that is the book, one of the books that really changed my life. Because you're a learned person, I don't ask this to all my guests. So besides your own books, right, these books, definitely, what books have impacted you the most?
Okay, I'll clarify first. Yeah, I don't read books. I buy books. I don't read books, but there are certain books that I was forced to read. Tan Sri Kwek forced me to read Rule Number One. Rule Number One is a brilliant book on how you make investment decisions. Rule Number One by Phil Town, I think. So that's something that Tan Sri Kwek personally asked me to read. So when a billionaire, Malaysia's second richest man, asks you to read, you read. Lo. So rule number one, since the second richest man and known as the Warren Buffett of Asia asks you to read, so find that book, Rule Number One. It tells you that when you want to do business, when you want to do things, you must always have 4 M's. First, whatever you do must have meaning to you. Just because Elon Musk is investing in Tesla doesn't mean you jump into Tesla. Make sure you have meaning, then only you invest. So must have meaning. The business must have moat, must have enough protection that not everyone can jump in and become your competitor. Then it is not a sustainable business. Must have some protection. So your IP, your branding, all this can be your protection. The business must have a good management. So you must put in the right way of managing the business, and the business must have the right pricing to buy. He calls it the margin of finance, 4 M's. So that book is a very good book. My favorite, the one that I've read and continue reading even now, is Think and Grow Rich and Success Through Positive Mental Attitude, both by Napoleon Hill. I think this book changed me a lot. The lessons are very simple. Success through positive mental attitude. You always have that option, whether positive mental or negative mental. It's your choice. Every day you make that choice. So when you put too many negativity in your mind, then of course you don't focus on taking action. You focus on complaining. You have this victim mindset. Nothing moves. So that book, the stories inside it, I think it gave me a lot of strength in terms of whatever I want to do. I don't blacklist people. I don't block people usually, but still, when people are too negative, I block them straight. So I don't want negative energy to come in. So block them straight. So I won't give them a second chance. So that is the lessons that I learned from Success Through Positive Mental Attitude. A powerful book, Napoleon Hill.
Thank you, Siva. Those are great books. To clarify as well, I don't read books unless it's your book. I don't really read books. I listen to books because
okay.
I drive a lot. I travel a lot. So I'm a very visual audio person. So I watch and learn faster than I read.
We are quite similar.
I listen to a book. I listen to a lot of books when I have the time. So listen and read. So I buy a lot of books also, but see how. So great one. So yeah, I wish I had more time with you. Great lessons. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing on this podcast. I believe there's so many gold nuggets in a very short period of time. So I do encourage everyone to go and reclaim your right to success and Serasi. And as mentioned in this podcast, so last question before I let you go. This podcast, as mentioned earlier, is to share stories from business leaders in Asia. So when we talk about business leaders, we always look up to the Elon Musk, like you said, look up to the Gary V's, the Jeff Bezos. We don't have Asian business leaders to look up to. So that's my mission of this podcast. I want to put it more out there. A lot of our local CEOs, you just Google them, you cannot find any material on them. Mostly cannot find. So that's where I want to create a lot of media for them. So like, who else, since you experienced this podcast, who else would you recommend to be on this podcast?
First of all, yeah, Asians, they're typically high S people, high steadiness people. For that reason, they tend to be humble. No matter how successful they are, they still think they're not good enough. During COVID, when I asked Tan Sri Kwek to share how he can guide the SME, he told me, you overrate me. I'm not qualified to teach because I still didn't succeed in making money during COVID. So Asians are too humble. For that reason, we cannot research on them, cannot read on them. But if you look at richest, Forbes list, you still see a lot of Asians being inside there. It's just that humility. And in terms of people that you can meet for your podcast, same thing. A lot of them are just super humble, but quietly they are doing very, very well. A lot of very quiet people. I met Edmund, the founder of Inside Scoop. Very unassuming guys. Weekend goes for his bike ride. You go to his office, he's wearing shorts and slippers. But he just sold his 75% of his company to Farm Fresh for millions and millions. But you see him, you won't see him. So humble. So these are people that I think can share a lot of wisdom in terms of building businesses. Ben Tay, the founder of Red One, is also a good friend of mine. Look at him, same thing, very humble. He invited me for breakfast recently near my house where the porridge was 8 ringgit. But he's the owner of Red One, the telco company. So these people are very giving. When I talk to them, they're very giving. So these are people that I think can add a lot of value to your listeners. Humble people, but they are there to share.
Thank you, Siva. Look forward to your recommendations. So like you said, yeah, it's very different. In the West, right, to write a book, this is something I know as well. To write a book in the West, just need to know something more than other people, then they write a book already. that is the mentality. We need to prove ourselves, we need the record, we need the success to show again and again, then only we will decide to write a book. So I cannot thank you enough, Siva. Thank you so much for being here. Still don't want to write.
Oh, they still think that if I read, am I qualified to write? Will people read? It's still very humble. Asians are very humble. Americans like to market themselves very much.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope there are more podcasts like these as well, going around sharing more business. I like to share more stories from Malaysians, Singaporeans, people from Hong Kong, China, India, you name it, Indonesia. So there are so many more stories that I hope to get as well in the journey of this podcast. Right now we're about 10 episodes in. So so thank you so much, Siva. I cannot thank you enough for being here and sharing your wisdom, and look forward to connecting with you more in person as well.
Thank you so much, Bob, for giving me this opportunity to share. Thank you so much.